We give our thoughts and reactions to Auburn's 8A scrimmage on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Good evening, Auburn family. I hope everybody's blessed, man. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Dustin Smith and Blake Lane back at you with another edition of the Uptempo podcast. Blake went to the football field yesterday. Cam Coleman did some Cam Coleman things. Kicker U was alive and well. Young guys are flying around on the defense, man. I did the post game yesterday over on the War Report, so I'll kick it to you first, man. Just kind of give us your overall initial thoughts on what you saw.
I was pleased. I thought it was a great day for Auburn football. I thought how Coach Hugh Freeze set everything up was an awesome job. I was pleased. I thought it was a great effort. Getting to see a guy like Cam Coleman go up and make plays, getting to see Peyton Thorne. Look, he didn't look like a superstar, but he had an efficient day, and I think we can all agree on that. 9 of 13, 130-something yards, a tutter. And the only QB to throw a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
9 of 13, 133. He was accredited 4 rushes for 20 yards and then a TD.
There you go. That seems like a pretty efficient day, and he didn't have any turnovers and things like that. So I think that's what you were really looking forward to, right? That's what we wanted to see. That's what we talked about last week. Is we wanted to have a clean day. We wanted it to be clean. I know the very first play we did have a flag for holding on the offensive line, but after that, it got better. It got better. So, looking at the defense, look, I think Durkin's bringing energy, bro. I think DJ Durkin is bringing the energy. I think the defense played their tails off. I was really impressed on that side of the ball. I think it was a great day, Dustin. I do. I couldn't. I guess the worst part of it that I can say is where everybody was saying, the game should have started at 1 when it really started at 2. So I think that might have been the worst thing that you could take from it, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That's a very small thing. I had some people though that were at the game. They were texting me, right, and they were like, "Hey, what are they showing on the broadcast? Has the broadcast started yet?" And I was like, "They're just kind of talking, man." And they were like, "Yeah, we're just watching drills." And they literally treated it like a practice. They were doing the individual drills and then going over to the scrimmage. So, I mean, not a big deal. I think that they probably should have just communicated it a little bit better.
And that's my thing is, I think it could have been a little communication there, and they could have went over with the university, with the tickets and everything, and saying, "Hey, put this time on there that the actual game starts." But what I think that Hugh Freeze was doing, I think Hugh Freeze was using it for basically just recruiting. All right, hey, here's what we do. Here's how we run things. For all of you recruits out there, I just want to give you a little inside access. And I'm also going to have some former players and current coaches and everything here to do live interviews to tell you a little bit about Auburn and what we're doing. So I did like that part of it. I was really proud of how Hugh got all of that together and organized that part of it. And then the game kicked off and we got it going. So, look, I can't complain. I thought Auburn really showed out yesterday, and you're not going to get any negativity out of that performance yesterday, Dustin. You're not going to have people across the country saying, "Well, Auburn did this, Auburn did that." I think you can really look at that game and say, "Hey, there's promise there. There's things to grow on. There's things that you can get better at, things like that." So, I liked it.
I'm glad that you said that, because you know what they are talking about when Josh Pate goes on Sunday night, tonight, I guess. I'm not used to doing Sunday shows.
Yeah.
When he goes on tonight and does his live show and he says, "Man, talk about some spring games this weekend." I'll tell you one thing he is going to talk about. The offensive MVP of the day. And I mean, it doesn't shock anybody. It shouldn't. You've been hearing from everybody on the Auburn beat. You've heard from every coach, from every player. There's never been anybody that told you that this dude wasn't it. And I'm so happy that the fans finally got to see it, man. Hank Brown with that deep pass a little bit too far. And we've seen, for years and years now, we see that ball hit the ground. We see that ball go off our receiver's fingers. He doesn't quite bring it in. And we go, oh, not yesterday. Not anymore, Blake. It was electric, wasn't it?
Cam Coleman is him. Cam Coleman is him. It feels good because we have sat on this show and we have talked and talked and talked about Cam Coleman. We have talked about receivers that Auburn has needed in the passing game, and Dustin, to see him go up and make play after play after play, a breath of fresh air. A breath of fresh air, man, that Auburn can stretch the field vertically, can take the top off of a defense now. I don't know how you can't be excited about it. I don't know how you can't be excited about it. A guy that can go up and get the football, he attacks it at the highest point. He can go make plays like that yesterday to just adjust to that throw from Hank Brown. That's not an easy catch. That's not an easy catch, folks. And this kid hadn't even played a game of college football yet and made it look easy. Made it look easy. He's unreal. He's a freak of nature. And everybody knows it because everybody around the country keeps saying it. Everybody that enters that Auburn facility says, hey, this Cam Coleman guy, dog. Well, you got to see it firsthand yesterday. And we kept saying that he could make life easier on the Auburn quarterback room. And I think we saw some of that yesterday. And there was other guys who stepped up in that receiving corps. But Cam Coleman is that guy. Look, eight grabs a Saturday, minimum. I mean, targets, whatever. You feed him the football. Feed him the football. I want you going at him, man.
You can't throw.
And then Perry Thompson ain't even on campus yet. Malcolm Simmons ain't even on campus yet. Right. This is unreal, and it's something that we haven't seen in so long. Hugh Freeze is just that guy, and I can't sit here and say I'm worried about the wide receiver position anymore at Auburn because I know what he's going to bring in. He's going to bring in elite talent at that position. He did it everywhere he went. I mean, hell, even Liberty, he was bringing talented guys there. They were chunking the ball all around the yard and getting after it. So, I mean, just a breath of fresh air, Dustin, where I think we're not going to have to go 13, 14 plays anymore down the field. We're going to have some quick hitters, brother, where we get a guy, he can blow the top off the defense, and we can hit one of them quick ones over the top, and a guy like Cam Coleman can do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll think back to three of his four catches were difficult catches.
Yes.
And then he had the one that probably should have been a pass interference. Well, that's a first down. That keeps the chains moving, right?
Yep.
And then he had to go to his high school prom. He had to hurry up and get out of the post game because he had to get to his high school prom. Still developing, still finding his game, still learning the playbook. That's a guy right there who, like I said, he's still a high school kid, and he's doing that out there. And you got him for 3 years. So, hey, in the era of the portal, like you said, Blake, feed him. He needs to know that he's the guy. He needs to be happy. And from everything that we've heard, like Cam Coleman is getting that treatment. Like he is, everybody understands he is that dude. But man, just to see it, and then I couldn't help but sit there and think to myself, of all the kids from Central Phoenix City that we've missed on, we didn't miss on the one we landed might be the best one. So if you're gonna break the curse, that's one hell of a way to break that curse is with this young man right here. And then Blake, I think we've seen nobody to this level, but we've seen some talented receivers come through Auburn, at least highly rated out of high school, that didn't have it together. You're looking at a guy who, by far, is the most talented wide receiver that's ever touched an Auburn football field, but also has it all together up here. He gets it. He knows what he needs to do. There's a focus there.
Correct.
It's not to be a good college player. It's not to be a good NFL player. My guy's aiming for big, big things. And when you have that kind of talent, you should be. And, I make this point that they don't necessarily play the same, but you guys know as a big Bucks fans, I've watched a lot of Mike Evans over the year. And I watched Mike Evans get 1,000 yards with Josh Freeman. And I watched him get 1,000 yards with Jameis Winston. And I watched him find a way to get 1,000 yards with Fitzpatrick. And sure, Tom Brady and Baker, he's had some good ones in there. But no matter who it was, Mike Evans catching that damn ball, he found it. He's coming down with his 6-7 catches for 100 and a tutty that day.
Yep.
And Cam Coleman's that guy. He's that guy. He's just gonna get his. Look at the touchdown play.
Yes.
Look at this one. And shout out to Mike G for snagging this dope picture. I stole it off your Twitter, Mike G. But he's filthy, man. It's filthy.
Yes.
And then kind of talking about what that does for the rest of the room. Robert Lewis looked phenomenal. He had 5 catches for over 70 yards on the day. And then Camden Brown, man. Like that's the Cam Brown that everybody's been wanting to see. Coming back, fighting for the ball, being aggressive. He looked like he wanted to play. He wanted to play football. And for that receiver group that earned all of the discussions that happened from last year, I don't know how if you watch Saturday, how you can't feel better. And like Blake said, there's still 2 more dogs on the way. One more that we know is going to play significant time and is going to contribute. But I just don't know how, Blake, if you're watching that, I'm not saying that it's okay, 10 wins and we're throwing for 3,000 yards. But I feel like my 2009 Chris Todd benchmark is a little bit more attainable after watching that Saturday, right?
Sure. Yeah. Look, Camden Brown, I was pleased. I had a smile on my face. When I saw him working back to the football, the separation the receivers were getting, the hands, sticky hands, you're not seeing drop balls. Now, obviously, when the guys were working with Walker and you got down onto the walk-ons and things like that, you started seeing drop balls. But when those 1s and 2s were out there, sticky hands, guys were making plays, catching the football. Robert Lewis, it's going to be a fun one, folks. He's not going to catch 80 balls like he did at Georgia State, but he's going to catch his fair share at Auburn. And we got some guys that when they get out in space, they can be electric. I just think that adds to another dimension to this Auburn offense. Everybody says, well, we didn't run the ball great. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to sit here and dissect that out of an Auburn spring game. I know what we got in that room, and we're going to be just fine. I know what we got there. I'm not panicking about that. Not panicking about the offensive line. I think our defense played great. I think DJ Durkin said, hey, I don't give a piss that this is a 10-minute running clock. I'm going to put heat on you, and we're going to play this thing the right way. And that's why we all said, Chat, myself, Dustin, take A-Day serious. I thought the kids took it serious. I thought the coaches took it serious. I was proud of it, man. I come out of it. I saw excitement. I saw guys competing. It looked night and day. I saw a tweet yesterday saying, hey, this actually feels like year 1 under Hugh Freeze. I thought that I liked that tweet. I said, it feels like night and day from last year. And I know it was through a hurricane and all that stuff, but the energy just felt different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Guys were competing.
They were.
They were flying around. You saw a lot of those young DBs, those young linebackers getting in there making plays. I think that the QB pecking order kind of got sorted out, and I think it kind of played its way out to the way that we've been hearing. Before we talk about that, Blake, I want to get over and holler at some of our people in the comments real quick. our boy Tim, I think Tim makes it a point to always be the first comment. And Tim, I just want you to know that I appreciate it, brother. He says Cam, MF, and Coleman, and there ain't a whole lot to say about it. That's the scouting report. Drexel says that the receiver from Georgia State looks good also. Yes, he did, man. Robert Lewis did look good. You got to love when you hear good things about players in camp, and then they show up and they show out. An experienced guy, man, if he can give us that every Saturday, make a world of difference, man. Make a world of difference. Auburn Dad says, Cam putting on the show makes everyone watch out on my schedule, and that opened up Lewis, Camden, and Rivaldo. So even, it just helps him out is what Auburn Dad is saying. And it gets me excited for the red zone. Because if I've got Rivaldo and Perry Thompson and Cam Brown, like, man, I got some trees. Cam Coleman. I should be able to throw it up to somebody and somebody come down with that rock. Our guy Ant's in here. What's up, Ant? Ant says that Robinson will be the best safety in the SEC. The linebackers and D-line is something I'm not worried about. And definitely going to talk about the defense after we get have this quarterback discussion, because some of those young guys, I thought that they really, really excited me, especially in that linebacker room. But Blake, we heard all spring, man. PT1. We started hearing rumblings about a weekend. Hank Brown pushing for the 2. Holden sliding down to the 3. And then, obviously Walker White is the freshman. It is what it is. And I don't know, like, for Walker White in a scrimmage when the quarterback's not live, he's just always going to be pretty limited. Same thing we said about Robbie Ashford. Like, it's just going to be tough, because he is definitely a guy that's going to use his feet. And some of those, he probably would have busted off and made a play, that kind of thing. But he looked like a freshman. He looked like a guy that is an early enrollee and has a lot to learn. Flashes talent, that throw to Cam Brown was nice and everything. But a ways to go. He definitely looks like the 4th guy right now. And you've been saying it for about a year now. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that pecking order? Do you think Holden's about to go try to see his opportunities elsewhere?
Yeah, and it's not a knock to Holden. I think Holden is a great kid, but I just don't think he's gonna play a snap at Auburn University. A meaningful snap, I should say. Yeah. And it's hard because he seems like he's an Auburn guy, right? He seems like he loves the university. He seems like he's a great teammate. I just don't think he's got the talent of what's in front of him and also what's behind him, right? So Hank passed you up, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. And so now you're 3rd on the pecking order, and it's not in the cards. So I think he goes, and I think Peyton Thorne's the starting quarterback. And I think Hank Brown's your solid number 2. And you're going to get a red shirt from Walker White, which is okay. That's what we all wanted. We all wanted Walker to sit a year, and that's okay. There's nothing to be mad about with that. But I can sit here and say, for everybody that wants to dog on Peyton, all right, he did some things last year that I wasn't happy about, and I brought them up. But yesterday, I'm not just going to sit here and say, hey, he's terrible. All right, he played awful. Were there some mistakes? Yeah, there were. Was there some good things that I said, hey, he looks a little bit more comfortable? Yeah, there were. I think he's your starting quarterback, and Hugh Freeze is telling you right now, hey, Peyton Thorne's a starter. And I know a bunch of people don't agree, and we want Hank to push forward and everything, but he made it a competition, all right? And sometimes when Hank puts some pressure on Peyton, it makes Peyton play better. That bowl game performance, that might have gotten Peyton's right here. It might have gotten his head, Dustin, and he said, hey, I got to get it right. I got to get in this offense. I got to learn what Hugh's trying to preach. I got to get it going. 9 of 13 for 133 yards and a touchdown, and he wasn't on the field, for drive after drive after drive, I'm cool with that. Do I think he's going to win us a national championship? No, I don't. But can I think he? Do I think he can, trend the program in the right direction and get us to 8, 9 wins? Yeah, I think he can do that. I think he can. I think there's something there, Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give you two sets of personnel here. You tell me which one you will take. Team A: Cam, Perry, Robert Lewis. I'm talking about Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Robert Lewis.
Yeah.
Team B: Jair Shorter, Shane Hooks, Nick Marner. Taking Team A or Team B? Taking Team A, man. You're taking Team A, okay? So obviously that's going to help a whole lot. We've spoke ad nauseum on this podcast about Hugh taking over, running his system, whatever it was last year between him and Philip Montgomery, and how it just didn't work. So, and I see some people saying in the comments, I agree with y'all, saying that if you don't want PT to be the guy, it's not like you can act like anybody behind him came out and just definitely took it from him.
Exactly.
And look, I think I'm pleased with Peyton's performance yesterday, and I'm pleased with Hank Brown's performance, and I'm pleased with their camp. I'm pleased with their camps, because what did we talk about on the preview show? We said the worst thing that could happen would be for Hugh to talk up Peyton, and then Peyton come out here and go 5 for 12 and throw picks and all this kind of stuff. And that's not what happened. And then the backup, and we've been hearing, hey, Hank Brown's kind of been taking that next step.
Yep.
He's been taking, and then we see it. And that makes me feel good, because I was just always kind of like, well, I got to see a little bit more than just garbage time of a bowl game that you were down by 3 touchdowns in. I got to see a little bit more than you balling on Maryland's third strings and prevent defense.
Yeah.
But then he puts together a complete camp and jumps at somebody, and takes somebody's job and improves himself on the depth chart. Now, when Peyton Thorne goes next year, who's sitting pole position? QB2, right? So that's the level that Hank Brown has put himself at. So overall, man, looking at the quarterbacks and how it all played out, kind of played out as we were hearing throughout the camp that it was. And I'm pleased with the day. And no turnovers from the quarterbacks. And something to always remember in the spring games, defense been seeing this offense for a month. They know what's coming, okay?
Yeah.
They're not really fooling them. And when you're an RPO team and the quarterback's not live, that kind of has played a little part of it too, because you're like, I just got to run over and touch him and he's down. So they're not even really worried about the run part of the RPO from the quarterback, which is a key part of it. So there's a lot of things that are kind of playing into the defense's favor here. So now as let's transition over here to the defense, Blake, and I'll just say this before I really start kind of booging and talking about the things that I saw. I see some people saying, okay, man, now I'm worried about the O-line, and I think that the D-line is straight. Hugh Freeze said twice this camp, this portal period, I got to go out and get 2 interior defensive linemen out of the portal. Yep. That didn't change because of what happened yesterday, okay? Again, the defense knew what the offense was going to do. Those kind of situations, they always say the defense is ahead of the offense in camp. I mean, so you got to remember that. You got to take that into consideration. So I would just say, I'm not really freaking out about the O-line at all. I think this will be the most improved, consistent offensive line that Auburn's had in a long time when it comes time to suit up in the fall. And I'm not looking at the D-line now going, okay, all my concerns are fixed. I'm not looking at it that way. But I do want to talk about the positives, man. And that being the case, I got to shout out to our guy, Quintrell Jamison Travis, with 3 tackles for loss. Malik Bloxing getting in there with 2 tackles, look good. Morris Williams, who you just really have been hearing about, that freshman coming on and can't, with a tackle for loss. Jamonte Wilder looked good. He had a tackle. TJ Lindsey looking like a big – you look at TJ Lindsey and it's like, you're 18, kid? You're 18 years old. All right, bro. Keldrick Falk, that big third down right out the gate looking like Keldrick Falk. We know what he's going to do. Britton Williams is going to be a big piece for us on the edge, the kid out of Opelika. golly, what was the kid that just left, Blake? That was the 4-star on the edge. Got in trouble for the little situation at the beginning of the season last year. He's like from the DC area, but I only say his
Yeah,
name to remember that Britton took his spot. There's the
yeah,
reason why that kid's not at Auburn no more, because Britton, they were the two freshman edge guys last year, and Britton just came in and took his spot and beat him out. Jalen McLeod looked like Jalen McLeod. We needed DJ Reed to have a big day, and he gets a tackle for loss. Sakevius gets in there and gets a tackle. Just a lot of guys, man, on that D line getting some reps and making some plays, man. So like I said, I don't, my concerns are not just, okay, here we go. Like, I feel they're all healed. I feel great about it now because of one little spring game. But I do look at it and say, man, they were flying around.
yes.
They looked competitive. They looked like they wanted to be out there playing football. And I mean, like, when you see guys like Joe Phillips lining up, and it's like, it's that get off the bus stuff, bro. It's like, just look at these cats, Blake. Just look at some of these guys, bro. And then your guy, the 251, I've got to shout out Robert Woodyard with the big day, man. Like, we all said Robert Woodyard, he was one of our guys. Shit or get off the pod. It's time. You got to do it.
Yep.
And he said, well, I'll do it then. You just sit back and wait. I'll do it. And he looked lean, man. He looked like a safety when he came down and made that tackle on the edge. And you were really fired up, Blake, whenever we hired DJ Durkin. And after watching the spirit and the way that those guys flew around yesterday, I'm really getting there with you, man. I'm like, I like the juice he's bringing to this team.
So you brought up the Keldrick play, that third down early in the game. I like to look at body language a lot. When I watch sports, body language tells me, all right, who's got the juice, dog? And that's what you always talk about, right? You want to see that energy. When I say guys were competing yesterday, you go back and you watch that play, and you watch the guys swarm to Keldrick, all right? They're taking their helmets off. They're getting hyped up, all right? That's stuff that you didn't see the past couple years. You didn't see those things. Guys flying around. For sure tackling going on. Guys wrapping up. Making plays. I think it's different. I think it's different out there. And DJ Durkin, like I said earlier, when they were doing the interviews and things like that before the scrimmage actually started, DJ said, hey, I don't care that this is a controlled scrimmage. I'm bringing the heat. We're playing it live. We're going. I thought he did great things yesterday. The young cats that are out here, the youth. Dustin just listed off. Man, these dudes, look, some of these cats, Texas was in the battle. Alabama, Georgia. The talent is flipping at Auburn. We ain't even got to talk about the DB room. That DB room, nasty. Nasty.
Mad, bro. JC Hart's going to be so damn good.
Nasty. All right. It's when Kayan said we got a nasty defense and we want to show y'all, when he first said it, I was kind of like, I don't know. Let me see. I think there's something to that. And the reason why I was so excited about DJ Durkin is because I always felt like he brought it at the line of scrimmage. I always felt like he brought it at the line of scrimmage, man. So I really feel like when they go to the transfer portal, they get those two guys, whoever it may be. I feel like that's just going to add a little bit more depth. And I think if Auburn can stop the run on that side of the ball, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be better than what people expect, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. See some of y'all in the comments making some comments about the audio. Nothing we can kind of do about that mid-show, but we will definitely check that out when we get done, when we hit in-stream. Apologize for that, guys. Sometimes things just happen on these shows, and we'll definitely get in here and figure it out, man. I see a lot of y'all talking about DJ Barber. Like, what do we say, Blake? DJ Barber wakes up in the morning, and he drinks tackling fuel. So That's what the young man does. He comes in there and gets two
Yeah.
big tackles on the goal line, gets a pass breakup as well. Just I said it his entire senior season. People are rating this guy a 3-star. I'm not sure what the hell you're looking at. Like I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is borderline 5-star. But some people get obsessed with the shorts, right? The 40
Yeah.
times and what a guy looks like at a pro day and that kind of stuff. And I care about what you look like when you put them pads on, dude. And he was
That's a
popping
fact.
pads, and Robert Wood was out there popping pads. Kane Lee looking great out there on that corner position, and we know that we need him. JC Hart with a nice play. So just young guys from every single level on the defense, man. So I have nothing but good things to say about that. Yesterday really kind of put some enthusiasm that I needed back into the Auburn football fan in me after what I watched in Nashville. Put a little bit of juice back in my cup. Just seeing some big plays and seeing some guys be excited. And I'll kind of close out with this one, Blake. Alex McPherson didn't miss a kick last year. Didn't miss a kick. And his backup may be better than him. I don't know. Like, bro, I mean, I'll tell you what Towns McGoo better be doing is he better be doing kickoffs. Because as
Mm.
long as the kids on our team, nobody should be returning it versus us.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I do want to see. I don't want to see any funny business of trying to kick it in the corner and get them pinned at the 18. No. The hell with all that. Just tell Towns to put that thing through the back of the end zone, line up at the 25, and let DJ and Charles Kelly do their things on defense. But 7 for 7, man, super impressive. Like kicker you. And we've been in a lot of these close games and have had good kickers and still haven't won the close games, and it hasn't been the kicker's fault. It's really a weird thing. But if you have good kickers in these close games, it'll start helping you out if you actually go down the field and put him in position to kick that field goal. We have guys that we know we can count on. So for again, another freshman in Towns Magoo that comes out there. So it was everything that I wanted to see, Blake. Lots of young talent all over the field, making plays and excited to be at Auburn, and coaches that were having fun and excited to be at Auburn. And I just felt like I was watching Auburn football, man. And I'm
Mm.
not trying to I'm not saying we're back to Auburn football. You know what I mean? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it just felt good. I was like, this feels good, man. I can't put my finger on it necessarily, but something feels different. And I kind of sat back after yesterday and said, you know what? We might be okay. We might be okay. And I don't think next year is going to be great, but we might surpass even what my low expectations, because although those guys are young, and I've followed every one of their recruitments, I know how talented they are, but to see them out there in uniform, actually making those plays and doing it, man, then it just kind of, it's hard to not get excited. So shout out to everybody that went out there and made it a good atmosphere. Shout out to Hugh Freeze and all the coaches for kind of aired it out a little bit. We put on a show for us. We wanted to see that. They knew that Cam Coleman was why everybody was in the building, and they threw it deep to Cam Coleman, and he got the tutty. So all in all, man, I thought it was a good day. I think that there's a lot of good things that we can take from it. We know what we got to work on. So this portal period's about to open up. Got to make sure we don't get poached. For anybody that we don't want to get poached, why don't we go do some poaching? And then on the recruiting front, it looks like we had a really positive weekend, and it looks like there could be some big recruits coming soon. Look like we could get that class or that QB in the class here coming up pretty soon. Excited about that. So for our members, y'all know the drill on that. Just stay on the lookout. We'll be dropping those member pods, staying up with the recruitment. I look forward to getting in here and breaking down some film on some new commitments, and I would be really excited to do it on some receivers and some QBs. Because listen, I love all these line of scrimmage guys, Blake, but I'm about ready to watch some skill guys, and I think we're close, man. I think we're close to doing that. So all in all, just a really positive weekend for Auburn football, man, and nothing but positive vibes moving forward for me.
Yeah, I just hope Lane Kiffin was watching Towns Magoo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
get him, Blake.
Yeah, old Lane. He jumped the gun on that one, and Towns said, "Hey, gotcha." All right. And then comes out yesterday, and that was kind of what capped it all off, was listening to Hugh Freeze's reaction to that last field goal, he just seemed so pumped up that, hey, we're in a controlled scrimmage in an 8A game, and there's guys competing. There's guys having fun. There's coaches having fun. It just felt like a new style of Auburn, and I think that's what we were wanting. I think that's what we were asking for, was just to see a difference, just to see a little spark of life to get us excited going into the fall, because it ain't been fun. It ain't been fun. It just hasn't. All right, like we always say, we're used to the old Auburn, man. Going into every season knowing, hey, we can win 9-10. We can play in a Sugar Bowl. We can go to Atlanta. Like, that was the Auburn that we want back. I think we're on the way. I do. There's just so much talent, and you see it popping on the screen. The young cats, they're there at Auburn, and it was definitely a breath of fresh air for me. I know one thing my dad said. I went over to the house and I was sitting with my pops, and he's just level headed, you know. He don't get too high, don't get too low, and he's sitting there and he's like, Auburn just looks bigger. He's like, Auburn just looks, they look more physical than they have the past couple years. I said they do. It's the talent gap. That talent gap, it's closing there for Auburn. So I'm excited, Dustin. I can't sit here and down the guys over yesterday. I'm all positivity over here on this side, brother.
Yes, sir. I'm right there with you. And real quick, I want to say to our members, spring games are coming up. So I'm going to be at these spring games. Y'all know how we did last year during the season. I'm going to be at these spring games getting content. And there was a couple of kids from my area that picked up offers this week. And we got one from Pine Forest here in Pensacola that got an offer, who I actually saw play last year. He runs a 4.3, Blake. He's a DB. He runs a 4.3. He's a class of 2026 kid. He got offered this weekend. So I will now be at the Pine Forest spring game checking him out. There was also, we saw a couple of guys on the recruiting beat put in a prediction for a DB out of Fort Walton Beach, which is about an hour up the road from me. So I will be at Fort Walton Beach's spring game as well, because I'm hoping that by the time we roll around to that, he will be an Auburn commit. So you guys stay on the lookout for that. I will be doing the spring game circuit, getting that content for you guys as well. Recruiting is about to heat up. So if you are one of these people that watches and you're on the fence about a membership and you're into recruiting, now's the time, baby. Now's the time, because you're about to start seeing these commitments roll in. These camps are going to start happening. These spring games are going to be happening, and I'm going to be at all of them. So hit that thumbs up button, man. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. We're knocking on the door of 2,000 subs. So tell your friends about us. We're out here grinding, man. And then I saw somebody in the comments. I had you starred. I'm actually going out of town tomorrow, so this is a question for Blake. I'm putting you on the spot, Blake. They want to know about this baseball content. A lot to talk about there.
Yeah, we can.
You got one dropping this week?
Yeah, I can do a baseball episode tomorrow, because I believe there's a whole lot to say. And if you want me to sunshine pump, this might not be the episode for you. So there's a lot to say, and there's a lot to get off the chest, because this is ridiculous. So
I'm with you on that, man. Hey, good crowd. We love all of y'all. Let's get excited, man. We're playing football. Look good. We got some guys, Blake. We got some, like you said, look bigger, look stronger, look faster. We're passing that get off the bus test. So let's stay locked in as a fan base, man. Let's support the Auburn Tigers. And we will see you guys, man, on the next one. War Damn Eagle, and we're out of here.
War Damn, baby.